Hello and welcome to the Open News. The date of recording is the 11th of May. Today's stories are Inkscape 1.0 released, Ubuntu Studio 20.10 to ditch XFCE desktop in favour of KDE Plasma, KDE Plasma 5.18.5 released, and Microsoft Surface Book 3 mentions Linux in its advert. All of that and more right now on the Open News. And for our first story we have this. Inkscape 1.0 is here as a massive release 3 years in the making. Indeed, after 3 years, the guys over at Inkscape have decided that their software is ready for everyone, and as such have launched version 1.0 of the famous open source vector graphics editing software. The main changes in version 1.0 are that Inkscape now uses the newest GTK3 UI toolkit, meaning the program will work better on high resolution displays. As well as that, Inkscape 1.0 has several smaller but still very significant changes. Far too many to mention in this video, but some of the more notable ones include a support for dark and light themes, new searchable live path effects, new split video and X-ray mode, and canvas rotation and mirroring. There's also now support for exporting to a PDF, as well as numerous other features that are sure to please any artist and any other users out there. And for our next story we have another article that might affect any creative types out there. Ubuntu Studio 20.10 to ditch the XFCE desktop in favour of Plasma. Now this is certainly a controversial decision on their part, as I realise not everyone necessarily likes the Plasma desktop, and Plasma certainly is heavier than XFCE in many ways, which may not necessarily be what you want out of a distro for creative professionals. However, the reason for this change, as given by the Ubuntu Studio team, is that Plasma is as light, if not lighter, than XFCE. As well as that, they also explain that Plasma has better support for tools and software used by creative professionals. So for example, that would be software like Critter, also hardware like Wacom tablets. So all in all, I think this will be a controversial change, but maybe one for the better. And for our next story, we have another article about KDE Plasma. KDE Plasma 5.18.5 released with more than 60 changes. Indeed, the guys over at KDE have rolled out a new update that's sure to please any Plasma users out there. Most of the improvements are general quality of life changes that are always nice to see, and bug fixes. For example, Plasma is now better for users of NVIDIA Optimus. As well as that, there are improvements to system sounds and screen sharing. So all in all, a nice update that should find its way into your software repository shortly. And for our last story, we see another case of Microsoft getting involved with the Linux world. Microsoft's new Surface Book ad mentions Linux. Indeed, the new Microsoft Surface Book 3 ad mentions the ability to run Linux as a selling point, which is exciting because it shows that Microsoft is now seeing Linux as a bit of a selling point, and we're at the point where it is indeed. But it's also concerning because the more Microsoft support Linux, the more likely it seems that they'll try to sort of take over, as Microsoft are ones to do. But it's still cool to see that we've come far enough as a Linux community for Linux to be a selling point. And that's it for this week's edition of the Open News. As always, all of the articles mentioned are in the description. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out the link in the description to join LBRY. If you're already on LBRY, consider leaving me a tip. It really helps the channel out. And with that said, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.